Good morning. It is Tuesday, December 3rd, and there are 0 aliens yet. I keep hearing that it's supposed to happen today, but they're not here yet, despite the fact that I am in the state of New Mexico, and there's an Air Force base, like, right there. You would think that they'd be here, but they're not. So before I really get into the reading today, let's take a look at kind of what's going on on like the world stage, right? Because the planets are affecting everybody, but they're also affecting us on a personal level too. So we can like scale down what's going on out there into our personal lives. And what we're seeing on the world stage is people having to literally fight to be heard, right? We're seeing it in several countries now where people have been talking, they've been trying to do it the nice way, they've been trying to do it the right way for years, sometimes decades, even longer. And now we've like hit this breaking point where they're having to go from talking and doing things the right way to yelling and fighting to be heard, right? That can also be applied to our personal lives. So that the astrology that's happening today, it's not actually exact until tomorrow morning, but it is definitely in play today. It is intense. It is a bit stressful. And it's definitely conflicting energy. It is not, sit down and shut up kind of energy. It is, I've had enough. It's time to say something. It's time to stand my ground type of energy. So we have Mercury retrograde moving into that opposition with Jupiter retrograde. This is that energy of having to repeat yourself, having to have that same conversation that you've had over and over again and not being heard and having to stand up and say something, right? The moon is in Capricorn. That is putting Saturn in Pisces in charge of our emotional self and our subconscious self. That is really all about making sure that you've got good emotional boundaries. You are listening to your intuition. You are standing your ground. You're not allowing people to like drag you down. Making sure that it's putting reality, like it's adding structure to our like imaginative world, right? So if you've been like following your dreams and maybe it's not working out quite yet, but like it's working, getting there. And that's because we're in this like closing out the cycles space. So we need to close out this old stuff and make sure that we're standing our ground so that we can move forward. That's where our subconscious is. That's where our emotional state is. Like we are in a state where we are wanting to stand our ground. We are wanting to speak up for ourselves. We are wanting to defend ourselves, right? The sun is moving into a square with Saturn. That is a cut things off type of energy. So Saturn is the original planet of death. It's actually more the planet of death than Pluto is because Pluto is transformation. Pluto tears things down and then you rebuild from there. Whereas Saturn just ends things, completely shuts them off, shuts them down. You don't start over, you end it and then you go do something else type of energy rather than the Pluto rebuilding energy, right? Saturn just cuts it off right then and there. And that square, a lot of times when we see a square to Saturn, that's where that ending energy tends to pop up. And this is, the sun is your vitality. It's your life force. It is the things that light you up, right? But we've been seeing some things in those realms that aren't quite sitting right with us. Maybe we're seeing places where people have been testing our boundaries and we're needing to just stand our ground and say, no, this is what I'm doing, whether you like it or not type of energy. And if you got to cut people off, you got to cut people off. The moon is actually going to sextile Saturn and in conjunct Jupiter. So there is this opportunity that arises to stand your ground, to have those boundaries. And also that in conjunct to Jupiter, the in conjunct is like ending one thing in order to move a different direction energy. So this is very much like that moment of, you know what, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm tired of having the same argument. I'm tired of never being heard type of energy and just letting it go and moving on. So to today in and of itself is a bit spicy. And again, it's just taking what we're seeing on the world stage and scaling it down to a personal life situation and in your one-on-one interactions with folks, okay? Now, the cards-wise, Knight of Swords is our energy of the day. This is that spicy, argumentative, I got to speak up for myself, I've got to say what I need to say type of energy going on. What we are focusing on is the world. What do you need to end? We need to close out old cycles to be able to move forward, okay? And I know that's really, really hard. We really live in a society that keeps telling us to be the bigger person. Where's that gotten you, huh? Conflict creates change. Conflict is required in life. You are sometimes going to piss people off. That's just the nature of life, okay? And we've got to accept that that's part of what life is. You have to be able to stand your ground, and not everybody's going to like it, and it's going to create conflict sometimes, okay? What we are avoiding is the Empress. Don't get comfortable. Don't try to stay where you are because it's your comfort zone, right? If it was your comfort zone, it wouldn't be so feisty. It's just what you're used to. So really don't try to just stay where you are and go, well, but this is where I belong. If it was where you belong, it wouldn't be so hard. Just to be honest with you, if it was where you belong, you wouldn't have so many people fighting against you. So make the changes. Don't hunker down in your comfort and ignore the reality of what's going on around you. Okay, if you've got to stand up for yourself, stand up for yourself. Don't back down just for the sake of keeping the peace. Okay. The bottom of the deck is the Death card, so there's this transformation that is happening underneath. There's a lot of changes that are happening. We are closing out a lot of cycles right now. We are making adjustments to other cycles, and sometimes we have to hunker down and do that. We have to do the hard part in order to get to the easy part or the good part, right? That you don't grow if you stay in the same place. Let's pull some clarifiers for the Knight of Swords here. We have the Ace of Wands. And, yeah, so Seven of Pentacles. So if there's something that you've really been passionate about, that you've really been working on, and maybe you need to make some adjustments on it or whatever, stand up for that. Make sure that you're speaking up for that. Don't allow other people to tear you down, right? Definitely stand your ground and keep moving forward on what is for you, following your path. This is that nodal axis. Like, it's kind of, even though we don't have any planets interacting, well, we kind of do. But the planets aren't actually interacting with the nodes right now. That South Node in Libra is all about letting go of that people pleasing, letting go of the codependency, letting go of the mediator mindset, the devil's advocate mindset, and moving towards that Aries North Node of doing what is for you, following your authentic self path, right? And today you might be find yourself in a conflict that is trying to drag you back into that people-pleasy type of energy and trying to keep you from moving forward. Make sure you're standing up for yourself when it comes to that. Let's put some clarifiers on the world here. Let's see. Nine of Wands. Well, that couldn't be any more clear. And Justice. Yeah, so make sure that you're defending yourself. You've got that guard up. Nine of Wands is like the wounded warrior. This is not your first go around, right? These retrogrades are telling us that this is something from the past. This is a repeating thing. So this is not your first time having to defend this, right? And then we have the Justice card, this balance, the karmic justice type of energy going on here. Defending yourself, it's like, this is that Saturnian energy, actually. This is Saturn in Libra type of energy where you are pushing out justice rather than balance, right? So it's kind of like defending yourself and having that guard up and making sure that you have those good boundaries, despite the fact that it's continuously being pushed on you to not do that. It creates a karmic balance outside of you through justice rather than you trying to exert balance outside of you through that people-pleasing type of energy. So really standing your ground, ending what needs to be ended, that's going to bring that karmic balance into life, that karmic justice into your life so that you can move forward from here. Just make sure that you are standing your ground and you have those good boundaries in place. Let's see, clarifiers on the Empress. We have the Magician and the Ten of Wands. Okay. So, if you're staying in that comfort zone, you're just doubling down and going, you know what, I guess I should just stay here because this is what everybody wants me to do. It's where I'm comfortable. It's what I know. Then you're not putting in the work to manifest. You're not manifesting that new life. You're not manifesting whatever it is that you're trying to create, and you're not putting in the work. And not only that, but it's going to be 10 times harder and heavier to try to manifest if you're staying in that same place. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different outcome, right? Sometimes you have to get out of your comfort zone in order for things to get easier. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but that's the truth. You have to step out of that comfort zone in order to create something new, because if you stay in that same place, nothing new is ever going to happen. Ace of Pentacles on the bottom. So there's like this new beginning of stability in standing your ground and following your passions and keeping that guard up and allowing yourself to get uncomfortable in the world in order to create something new for yourself.